Okay, so that's great. That's definitely a step forward. We have all the data in Python now, automated. We don't need to go to Google or to Chrome to get this. But it's still pretty hard to handle, right? Like just for this one request, we have all this junk, and we don't need 99% of it, but we need some specific parts. So to work through this structure, which is called JSON, there's also a library in Python, which basically allows us to search that structure and find just the piece of data that we need. All right, so the next thing we'll do is try to parse this data set. And for that, we're going to use the JSON library. This works the same way as the URL lib. Before we use it, we have to import it, and you just import JSON. And JSON library has all the functions you need to work with these types of data. Okay. So we import JSON, and now we just, same as with URL, we just apply a few functions to take that, what you can call raw data, and convert it into a format that we can search through. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is I'm just going to create a new variable, which will be parse data. This will be a data structure, which will take our raw data and convert it into a easier to search format. And it'll be stored in this new variable. And then I am going to type in JSON, so this will reference the library. You see, it's just like the URL lib before. And the function I'm going to use is loads, and I'm going to pass it this data. You can see it's super similar to this line 15. I'm just taking the library, the function that I want, and passing my data into it. Okay, so that parse data, if we printed it now, I'm gonna comment this so it doesn't print this mess every time. If we printed this now, this will actually give us a well-structured data file now. Let's just see what this is. So you see now here, it looks like a mess, but you can see a lot of these colons and curly braces. This is telling me that it's already become structured, and I can use these things to search that data. So even though it doesn't come in nice like that online parser, it's already structured as this JSON format. Okay, and now that I have the JSON format, I can search into that data using operations that are really similar to what we looked at last time with dictionaries. So I can use the square brackets to get into that data. And to know what data I want to get into, it's still always helpful to have this up actually. Because as you see, just by printing this, it's super hard to find anything. But this structure is the exact same as this. This just puts it into a format that's easy to understand. Okay? So I can look through this and kind of find data that I'm interested in. So for instance, I know that at the bottom of each of these requests, there's one field which will give me the total number of whatever it is. So remember, it'll only give me 50 at a time, but for each request, it's going to have this piece of data at the bottom that says how many total there are. And we're going to use this number to actually automate our script to run through a number of pages to get all the data. So we can only get 50 here. We can get all 283. And this tells us how many pages we might be looking at. So just to show you initially how to get one piece of data from this data structure, I am going to get that number of posts. So to do that, I'm just going to make a new variable. It's going to store that number of posts. And this is my whole data set, right? So to get that piece of information, I again use the square brackets. And this is just like a dictionary. I'm going to put in the key, which is telling me where that data is. And the key is this string, this piece of text in quotes. You see it's the same dictionary format. There's a key, a colon, and the value. I want the value, so I ask for the key. Okay, just like looking something up in the dictionary. So that was total number, so I literally just type in this key. And this works, right, because all this text is actually in here. And that'll be stored in my numPosts variable, and I'm just going to print numPosts to see what we're getting. Okay, so here's my URL. I'm still printing these, so I can start to comment some of these print statements so I don't get confused. And down here is my print. You can see how I just kind of dove into that data set and extracted just that one piece of information based on this specific string. That's pretty much it, honestly. That's pretty much all you need to know. Everything from here on out is just strategies for structuring our code and using some of the stuff from last week to search through multiples of these requests to get kind of all the data, right? Because with the idea of big data, we don't want to be searching for information. We just want to get everything. So to do that, we can use Python to actually iterate through a number of pages, a number of requests, and pull this data automatically from that data set.